Believe the picture and see the truth. 2 + 4 = 6.
We're breaking the conditioning!
One weekend, after an extremely tiring and tedious work week, you decide to do something a little bit different. Being an outdoorsman, you decide that you're going to go camping. Pulling out your trusty map, you point to somewhere you've never been before. You are the adventurous type, and it's a challenge for you. Getting there, enjoying nature, reconnecting with yourself, everything about it sounds grand. So much different than your daily life of working in a cubicle. With your mind set on camping, you head out. Maybe you even bring some of your friends with. After all, the woods are nature's Las Vegas, and what happens out there stays out there. Along for your journey, you brought only the most basic of provisions, the necessities for camping, something to hunt rabbits with, some books to read, a canoe, and if you want to be a little girl about it, even a tent. As nighttime settles in, you and your friends take in the majesty of nature. You enjoy the stars around a campfire. You point at butterflies or whatever other gay shit people do in the woods. It's paradise. That is until you hear the noise. Just off in the distance, you can hear it ever so slightly as it gets louder and louder. As you all frantically look around to try to figure out where the noise came from and what it is, you suddenly hear it. It's an eerie sound, almost human-like, just from the edge of the woods. It seems to be calling to you, almost as if it's speaking English, but not quite.
How are you?
Finally, that guy, that guy, the brave one, decides that he's going to go investigate. He's going to see what's making that noise and what exactly it's saying. As you all watch as he vanishes into the tree line, you begin to wonder, is it a good idea for him to go alone? As you wait with bated breath, minutes turn into hours, and the hours seem to stretch on. Your friend, that guy, hasn't come back yet. You all begin to worry, to wonder if maybe he got hurt or injured out in the woods. Maybe that noise was a predator. Maybe he's being eaten by a mountain lion. I don't know. It is Connecticut, and you're pretty sure that happens there. Finally, you hear the noise again. Only this time, you're able to see what it is. As you run to the tree line, you could swear it looks like your friend, but as it comes in closer, something's not right. Oh sure, it looks like them. The physical features are almost the same, but something's different. Something's off. As they come to sit back around the campfire, their attitude and mannerisms are completely different. It's almost like they can't even speak the language. Every time you ask them a question or something personal, all they respond with is, whoop whoop. And stranger still, they don't seem to know your name, or anyone's name. They just keep calling everybody fam. As the darkness extends and nighttime continues, they try to lure you back into the woods. They have something they want to show you. They tell everybody to follow them out. But you have a feeling deep in your gut that something is wrong, that something has happened tonight that shouldn't have, and that if you go into those woods, you're never going to come back. This story's not unique. In fact, it's a common tale told across multiple communities online. From website to website, consistencies remain between each of the iterations. Usually, it involves going into the woods with a group of friends, hearing strange noises or awkward calling voices from the edge of the tree line. Somebody will go to investigate, and when they come back, they're changed. They may look the same, but they're completely different. They aren't your friend or family member anymore. And I guess that's what makes a Skinwalker so terrifying. It's the idea that they can take anyone and assume their position, and that you'll almost never know. That they can pass themselves off almost perfectly as the person you once knew. That is until you realize just what a Skinwalker is. A Skinwalker is a drunken Indian, a Native American who's imbibed too much firewater. And when you realize this, you can take safety precautions to protect yourself when you're out in the woods. Firstly, always read the signs. Most forest rangers are aware of Skinwalkers in the vicinity. They put them into special containment areas, quarantines, called reservations. These reservations are meant to contain them, so it's important to know where you're camping and where the nearest reservation is. Skinwalkers are much like bears in that they're easily intimidated by something that's larger than them. If you encounter a drunken Indian in the woods, the correct way of scaring them off is to stand on your tippy toes and spread your arms out and holler at them. Don't back away. Don't look away. Stare directly at them and holler. And one of the biggest things to remember when dealing with a Skinwalker is what every one of the stories you'll read online says about them. No one ever dies. And story after story after story, it's always people talking about encountering them and never being hurt or killed. Statistically, you have a 98.8% chance of surviving an encounter with a skinwalker. The eastern gray squirrel is more dangerous because it can carry rabies. A drunken Indian isn't very dangerous. They just trip a lot. So once you have all these facts and can utilize this information, skinwalkers pose very little risk. And these tips aren't something new. In fact, they're from all around the world. Skinwalkers aren't just a North American occurrence. Culture after culture has encountered some variation of them. And over the years, they've gathered this information to help you during your next camping excursion. Now, with Halloween fast approaching, your kids may be interested in seeing what a skinwalker is up close and personal. But because they're young, they're probably scared of the woods. It'd be very hard to get a 10-year-old to go out at night into the forest. Luckily for you, you can find skinwalkers in an urban environment. They congregate at a place called a casino. These casinos are home to numerous skinwalkers. So feel free to grab your kids, get them all dressed up on the 31st of October, and bring them to a casino. You're going to want to look for something called a blackjack dealer. These blackjack dealers will be more than happy to sit and interact with your kids. They can interact with them as much as they like, even petting them. Just be sure to bring their favorite food, acorns and peanuts.
You need to stop everything. What are you doing with your life? Look at you, sitting in front of a computer with Cheetos crumbs all over your shirt. You're dirt to me. You're disgusting. You're fucking sick.
Believe the picture and see the truth. 2 plus 4 equals 6.
We're breaking the conditioning!
Welcome back, true believers. As we continue our journey into the mysterious mysteries of Enigma, today we'll be looking at Succubus, the spectral seducer, the ethereal whore, ghost pussy. For those of you who don't know what a succubus is, congratulations. You're normal. Go to Applebee's. For everyone else, proceed. I initially began my investigation by trying to find a source, someone who could teach me how to summon a daughter of Lilith. Little did I know damnation awaited. My initial investigations led me to a dark occultic website, Succubus, dedicated to the practicing of spiritual contact. While I was hesitant at first, I knew I had found the real thing when I discovered it was run by warlock Eric von Roth, dedicated to teaching the truth behind the entities called Succubus and Incubus and the art of positive spiritual summoning. With testimonials like this, I knew I was onto the right track. Working with Eric has been both life-changing and fun. Finding a spiritual connection with my Incubus Sam means the world to me. Thanks, friend. Succubi are real. I didn't believe it at first, but when I started meditating daily and using Eric's techniques, I started getting signs from the other side. I am now closer than ever to creating visual contact. However, just as my lust was beginning to boil and my excitement building, I ran into a hurdle. I did not have $80. For if I had, I would have gotten the best-selling ebook, Succubus, a practical guide for summoning succubus, incubus, and sexual spirits. 11,000 copies sold. And of course, no demonic ritual would be complete without the Succuboard, a spirit board specifically designed with the succubus summoner in mind. Feeling dejected, I took a moment and spoke to my spirit Tulpa, Halohomina, and he pointed out that even though the website needed $80 to get ghost pussy, they still offered free lessons. If I could just get in contact with the dark warlock Eric von Roth, maybe it wasn't all for naught after all. I tried contacting Eric on his website and received no response, and that is when I learned the first lesson when summoning succubi. Be careful, because Eric von Roth, dark warlock of the $80 website, has been cursed with insanity. Clearly he's being held captive in the spectral realm. With Eric incapacitated for his dalliances with the devil, I was forced to consult masters even beyond a warlock, those who were familiar with dead and decrepit things, with lost hope. I was forced to consult Reddit. My first stop along the way towards gaining access to their mystical knowledge was R. Succubus. However, I quickly discovered that I was not interested in summoning an anime girl with a penis. Moving along, I consulted another subreddit. The truth is here. This is a database for non-fiction encounters within the unknown from a personal source. Finally, I would have that first-hand knowledge I had been seeking since the beginning. My experience with a succubus. This thing looked like a giant leech, and it made sense as I looked drained. I really began to look gaunt and depleted. I could draw a pic, but it was about the size of a big cat. Not wanting to make the beast with two backs with the leech, I decided to consult other experts, as Reddit was clearly insane. My next stop was the paranormal board on 4chan. Unfortunately, all they were interested in talking about was dead magicians and terrible CGI photos. Feeling dejected, I didn't know where to turn next. The warlock had gone mad, Reddit was f***ing leeches, and 4chan wanted to talk about magician suicides. Maybe YouTube would be my salvation on this dark journey. After conducting a search on succubi, I was greeted with the dark arts known as binaural beats, a way to open a portal into the ghost pussy dimension. What follows is a mere sampling of this sort of powerful and potent audio magic. After having listened to binaural beats for more than 8.5 hours on a loop while laying naked on my floor, I was left with nothing more than a headache. Clearly I wasn't versed well enough in this form of necromancy. With the majority of my searches having yielded little to no results and left with nothing more than a headache and a terrible visual image of a leech sucking a man's penis, I decided to expand my search by visiting Your Ghost Stories, a repository of hundreds upon hundreds of real-life tales that completely and totally did happen. The only choice I was left with now was which of these true-life, 100% factual events should I read in order to summon a succubus. I settled on a post by Legendary from Mexico. I am currently in a relationship with a succubus. Her name is Ella. I first encountered Ella when I was up on night surfing the web. I was looking for random stuff. Since I was bored, I typed in summoning angels. Nothing of interest came up. Afterwards, an idea came to my mind. I decided to search how to summon a sexual ghost. I searched through the results until I found a story of people who had experiences with sexual beings, known as succubi. Moments after I laid there, the tingling began. Started from my right leg and moved up and down my pelvis. Then it would switch to my left leg. My hands felt like they were being lightly touched. I started to feel this tingling all over my body. At that instant, the tingling went to my sexual area. It felt like someone was slowly stroking my sexual part. It caused me to have an erection. Finally, I was on the right track. If I could get a hold of Legendary, he could tell me how he met Ella. Sadly, I couldn't. No matter how many times I tried to message him, I never received a response. And the comment section was just as baffled. Had their love blossomed and bloomed? Were they still in a human-ghost relationship? It had been 7 years. Did Legendary and Ella have a happy ending? I'll never know. Frustrated by the non-stop roadblocks that were constantly put in my way, I decided to dedicate the next 3.5 weeks to reading every WordPress and blog that I could find that would allow me to summon a succubus. After compiling all the information I had found and cross-referencing the different methodologies of going about it, I had struck out with a plan. For it to work, I would need a few simple things. 32 pieces of chalk, 18 candles, 4.5 feet of rope, the wood of a dead oak tree, the skin of a rabbit, the blood of an ill relative, 2 banana peels, and a red pen. Once the materials had been gathered together, I set about conducting the ritual, following step by step the different guidelines that I had read on all these numerous websites. I did my best to invoke a daughter of Lilith to come to me. And yet, once again, the results were not what I expected. The doctor has told me the ear infection will clear up in a week to a week and a half with medication, though he still questions why I decided to sleep naked in my basement in the middle of winter. Perhaps the art of summoning a succubus requires a special connection to the spiritual realm. Perhaps I'm just not versed well enough. However, there does exist one form of necromancy which is even older, and had I known, I could have saved myself so much trouble. I hired a hooker.
Why would you want an imaginary friend? I think it just sounds dumb. He's not really there. You're just talking to the air. How can nobody be any fun?
Believe the picture and see the truth. 2 plus 4 equals 6.
We're breaking the conditioning!
And welcome once again, true believers, as we continue our journey down the Sphinx-riddled path to dark enlightenment. My story begins 4 weeks ago at a nocturnal gathering I was hosting for other like-minded individuals. They, like I, were interested in researching the dark occultic matters that were happening in our neighborhood. Everything had been going according to plan, and as I was regaling them with my 19th story about Skinwalkers behind the local junior high, my brother Clarence burst into the room. Whether or not he was possessed by a demon, I cannot truly say. All I can tell you is, what he said was totally untrue. He told the group gathered that I wet the bed. I tried to tell the group that this was a misunderstanding, that Clarence was misinformed, that it really was a Chinese water demon, a Shui Che, that had been haunting me ever since I performed an exorcism 3 months prior. They did not believe me. Clearly, dark magic was at work. I tried in vain to protest against it, but they all began to leave, and when I tried to speak up for the final time, Clarence simply punched me and said I was into unnatural shit, and that I was the reason Mom and Dad had got divorced. The situation only worsened as word spread throughout the town, and I was given a new moniker, Puddle Pants. For those of you versed in the dark arts, you understand that words hold power. And this particular nickname was powerful. Powerful enough to make sure I had no friends. And so I had to find an alternative. It took a while, but by page 200 I had found what I was looking for. Tulpas. Intrigued by the concept, my first stop along the way was a subreddit, r Tulpas. And luckily enough, Astral Hedge had outlined just what a tulpa is capable of. Superpowers. Do any of your tulpas have superpowers? In addition to having a few different forms, my tulpas can move objects with her mind and speak any language. In one of her forms, she can change her size, and in another, she has wings to fly. I feel like I learn new powers of hers every day. Looking beyond what Astral Hedge had to say, many others came forward with evidence of just what their tulpas could do. My tulpa Sarah can control the wind. My tulpa can change his form. My tulpa flies, breathes fire, and is really strong. My tulpa has a sort of crystal which allows Mekiel to manipulate his own energy to take on certain shapes. So far, he can possess a pair of near-transparent wings and an energy sword. All of my tulpas have superpowers. Zelta has green fire powers. Theo has electricity and soundwave powers. Legata has water-bending powers and can make water wings with lapis lazuli from Steven Universe. Rayun has a ton of powers due to being a Nakorian. Here are a few of them. She can earthbend and spawn crystals out of the ground. Shapeshift to some degree. Super strength, purple fire. Eli has magical abilities like a witch. After reading through the rest of the thread, I realized the terrible mistake I had made. R Tulpas was not a subreddit dedicated to Tulpa and Tulpamancy. It was a subreddit dedicated to the children's show Pokemon. and the animal slave fights it inspires. Feeling disillusioned with Reddit's inability to separate Pokemon from tulpamancy, I sought out experts of a higher level, those on the paranormal board. Tragically, all they were interested in discussing that day was giant invisible alien pussy. Yet another devastating setback. I almost gave in to the darkness, yet there on my desktop as a shining beacon appeared hope in the form of a message from the elusive ex-moderator. Our conversation, while meandering through many dark subjects, was very short. He linked me to something that was forbidden, something that had been hidden by 4chan many years ago and purged from the archives. A thread on MLP, creating Pinkie Pie Tulpa. Do it before going to bed every night. Ignore warnings about doing exactly that, because it can take ideas from your dreams. 60 hours in, I've started hearing and seeing her. Her face is deformed as fucking frightening, and I can't change it. She just keeps yelling for no fucking reason, mostly when something else is talking to me. Can't hear when she does. My face when. Finally, it seemed as if I was making progress. Here was somebody who had summoned a tulpa, had created a living thought form. If I could just find out how they had done it. I can't hear shit. Jesus, what do I do? Every time I try to form a thought, she's screaming no matter what I say. Her voice is all broken and nonsensical like a newborn baby's. Doesn't it take weeks of ignoring to stop this? Why did I even try this? You know when you smudge a picture of someone's face? It's like the features are there, but they're out of focus, and she has no color in her eyes. I don't understand. I spent 30 hours on visualization, like this picture. I know she can't hurt me in the slightest. This is fucking terrible. I shouldn't have messed around with this. I knew this fear I had would happen as well. I thought about it every time I focused. I don't think I can sleep. Every time there is a silent moment, she uses it to make the loudest noise possible. I've tried doing the above and threatening that I'll ignore her. No change. Why won't she listen? Why won't she take notice of me at all? I think you're right. It's like she's deaf and won't listen at all. I had lots of dreams where I was unable to talk, like there was something stuck in my throat, and then I'd eventually be able to scream my head off. This is exactly what it feels like. I'm doing that now with the MLP movie, wouldn't you know it? Maybe if I watch Pinkie Pie from the show, it'll influence my tulpa. It's not just the screaming and face either. It's the touch. Cold breezes on my neck, even when I put my hand around it. Covering my neck, it feels exactly the same. Prodding, feeling on my right arm. There's a wall to my left I lean on. The feeling of someone pulling my arm. Neck and chin hairs out. Nail pinching. The only sense I didn't work on was smell, so there isn't any. It was very clear from reading that there are dangers inherent in summoning a tulpa. OP of the thread clearly ignored the warnings and pushed forward into unknown territory. I would have to be more careful. But where to find the information necessary to summon my own hell-spawned pony? It was then that I discovered it. Hidden away in a corner of the internet where dark occult things are kept. Tulpa.info. The amount of information on the website is overwhelming, to say the least. So much occultic wisdom in one place, I was unable to process it. I decided the best course of action was to go to the forums, to talk to the tulpamancers themselves. And what I discovered was shocking. It isn't just users that create tulpas that post on tulpa.info. It's the tulpas themselves. What do you call your host? Hi guys, this is Sen. Today my host and I had a disagreement. I think Master is prettier than Host, and she really didn't like being called Master at all. Actually, Host sounds ugly to me, but Celine's pretty too. So I don't mind too much. But that got me thinking, what do you guys call your hosts? P.S. If you can't read this, just let me know, I can fix it. Tulpa001. Dear, honey, princess, love, lover, hosty, master, my slave, my sweet, wife, idiot, mistress, mother, sister, my everything, silly, my pet, stuff I forgot. I only call her hosty behind her back. Too bad you didn't ask about my pet names. That list is slightly more interesting. P. This was beyond my wildest expectations. Now I could learn from the tulpas themselves on how to summon my own, and the wealth of information available was mind-blowing. Committing suicide while having a tulpa. Hi, bit of a bizarre question here. But how would your tulpa feel if you committed suicide? Would you see it as murdering them? Would they understand that their host just couldn't take it anymore? Would they themselves not be able to take it anymore? And yes, I suspect the answers will vary from tulpa to tulpa. Just a thought. But the main thought that keeps me from trying out tulpamancy. Thanks. Parents with tulpa. Tulpa parenting. So I was wondering if anyone had tried parenting with a tulpa. I've always liked the idea of adoption and was curious about how others would have handled it. I suspect it would be just not telling the child and using the tulpa solely to support yourself. Or would you be honest and let the child know why sometimes you talk to yourself when you're alone? Would even having a child whilst having a tulpa be a terrible idea? I'd like to think they'd love the child as their own, but I suppose it varies from tulpa to tulpa. They may even get jealous. And another response from Tulpa001. I know of only 2 parents with tulpas. One is still a secret but young still. The other is open. Neither visit this forum though. It is not a terrible idea. Why would it be? After having browsed the forum for hours upon hours, soaking up every nugget of truth that I could, I came to the conclusion that my best course of action would be contacting the forum mod Tulpa001. While never having talked to a thought form before, I carefully worded my request. I would like to summon a tulpa. I am very lonely. Please help me. Within a few hours I received a response. Detailed instructions on how to proceed, how to will my own tulpa into reality. The instructions covered everything. All the materials, all the preparation, what to look out for and what to be aware of. The only caveat to the entire thing was that I was never allowed to share the list with anyone, which is why I can't show it to you now. And so I spent an entire week dedicated to summoning my tulpa, Halohomina. It took a great deal of concentration, but I succeeded, and I can tell you my life is for the better. Sure, there are naysayers, those who look down upon me, Western doctors that can't appreciate Eastern mysticism, and how they try to dissuade me. Time and time again they tell me, if you stop taking the antipsychotics, the voices will never go away. But they don't understand Halohomina and the wisdom he gives me. I'm paying those doctors a visit tonight. Halohomina has instructed me to do so, and I take his word as gold. I've made the preparations necessary. He had told me to bring a gun, but I don't own one. Luckily, my mother last year had bought me a katana, so I'm prepared. It's nice to have friends you can trust.
Believe the picture and see the truth. 2 plus 4 equals 6.
We're breaking the conditioning!
We inhabit a world of shadows, made to dance to the machinations of puppet masters who pull our strings from unseen vantage points beyond the veil of darkness. Today I bring you a glimpse of the truth that lays just beyond your perception, for I have uncovered a conspiracy, a globalist conspiracy, a literal globalist conspiracy. For those of you unaware who do not keep up with globe manufacturing related news, Larry Murray covered this in his award-winning Globe University article, Where Did They Go? The Disappearing U.S. Globe Manufacturers, in which he details how the globe manufacturing Illuminati, the Globinati, are seeing a decrease in their profits as the word gets out that the Earth is flat. As more and more of these businesses go under, the globalists begin to worry. Because if the world knew the truth, they would buy maps instead. My journey to this radical realization was not walked overnight. It began a year ago, when I was enlightened by a musical scientist. B.O.B. A lot of people are turned off by the phrase flat earth, but there's no way you can see all that evidence and not know. Grow up. That's right. This award-winning astrophysicist took to social media to waken up his followers. The cities in the background are approximately 16 miles apart. Where is the curve? Please explain this. And was anyone able to explain it? No. It is an unanswerable question. However, all good things must come to an end. And when the globalists found out that B.O.B. was spreading the truth on social media, they shut it down. How else could you explain all his tweets about the flat earth disappearing? Embarrassment? Does embarrassment earn you the accolades of the Flat Earth Society? I think not. That is an award that you should proudly hang in your house next to your PhD from Harvard. Even though they did their best to suppress his ability to get the word out, they made a critical mistake. For as I said earlier, he is not just a scientist, he is a musical scientist. One who's released a hit song that more than 54 million people have listened to. Bitches be curved, but the earth is flat. Due to copyright issues, I'm not able to play the song for you, but I can read aloud the lyrics as you follow along. Bitches be curved, but the earth is flat. Bitches be curved, but the earth is flat. Bitches be curved, but the earth is flat. Grab your gat, a rat-a-tat-tat. B.O.B. is a wordsmith, using his lyrics to unlock the minds of the masses. Armed with my awakening from social media, I ventured forth to learn everything I could about this flat earth. After finding out that the UN flag paralleled the flat earth map, I became intrigued by the outer ice wall. How exactly was it held in place?
If there's this great ice wall, how come there's no pictures of it? Well, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures of the ice wall. It's actually the ice that surrounds us and holds the oceans in. That's scientific. The globe has curved water sticking to the outside of a ball with absolutely no container. So that's not scientific. The only way they say the water sticks to the outside of this ball is through their magical, invisible force known as gravity.
Gravity is bullshit. It is a fairy tale told by fools to idiots to placate their fears and keep them from understanding the greater truth, that the reason objects are attracted to the ground is because it is down and not up. Armed with information about the great ice wall, about the flat earth, and that gravity is a lie, I decided the best course of action was going to a scientific authority on the matter, the Flat Earth Society. The mission of the Flat Earth Society is to promote and initiate discussion of flat earth theory, as well as archive flat earth literature. Our forum acts as a venue to encourage free thinking and debate. The Flat Earth Society mans the guns against oppression of thought and the globalist lies of a new age. Standing with reason, we offer home to wayward thinkers that march bravely on with reason and truth in recognition of the true shape of the earth, flat. Come join our forums and get started learning about the greatest lie ever told. To say I was intrigued would be an understatement, and I quickly found myself at their FAQ. Are you serious? Yes. Are you controlled opposition? No. What about the astronauts? Most flat earthers think astronauts have been bribed or coerced into their testimonies. Some believe they may have been fooled or are mistaken. It makes perfect sense. Who better to send up in a $100 million space vehicle than a doddering idiot? Only a dunderhead could protect the secret that the Earth is flat. Sending trained or professionally educated individuals is just too dangerous. What does the map of the Earth look like then? As evidenced by the logo of the United Nations, the Earth is a round disk of indefinite dimensions. The geographic North Pole is located in the center of the disk, and the Antarctic lies around the outer edges. Is there an edge to the Earth? The Flat Earth Society, along with previous notable flatists such as Samuel Shelton and S. Robotham, believe there is no end to the Earth, and that it continues indefinitely. The only edge to the Earth is the one you are standing on. Some math describing this can be found on our blog article, The Mathematics of an Infinite Earth. Curiosity having gotten the best of me, I decided to read the article. However, such complex computations eluded me. Turning to an authority I had once trusted, I soon found out that they too were part of the conspiracy. Venturing into the forums, I was greeted with a great enlightenment. When is a scientist taught to lie? Quote, so if we run with all scientists are part of the conspiracy idea, unquote. Scientists are puppets on strings. They are not the masters.
And I don't want to talk to a scientist. Y'all motherfuckers lying and getting me pissed.
I began to be unnerved. If I couldn't trust scientists, who could I trust? Luckily, the forum had an answer for me. User Intinkum. All of my advanced master workings are here. Hello. I'll add all of my workings to this topic part by part. This will be a database. This is the song, What I Like. My doings are guarantees of what will I do. And just what great master workings did Intinkum have to share? Why, the connection between the Globanati and ISIS. Why ISIS is supporting the Curve Earth. This is why ISIS supporting the Curve Earth. This is a news. This is ISIS money. As we know that this is the Curve Earth map. Did the Globanati have no shame? Not only were they willing to silence wordsmiths like B.O.B., but they would resort to terrorism to keep the lie alive, just to sell another globe. It was around this point that I knew I was in too deep. Too many powerful people were involved in this conspiracy. Scientists, mathematicians, astronauts, and ISIS. The Globanati was too big a target for me to take down on my own. But I have a responsibility to the truth, and that is why I am making this video today. For I have devised an experiment which will conclusively prove that the Earth is flat. What you see on the screen before you is another of their lies. A spherical world, a globe. On this globe are lines of latitude. 0 degrees marks the equator. Next are the tropics of Capricorn and Cancer at 23.5 degrees north and south respectively. Finally, there are the Arctic and Antarctic circles at 66.5 degrees north and south of the equator. And this is how we will defeat them. According to the Globanati, the distance around the equator from one point wrapping back around onto itself is roughly 25,000 miles, whereas the distance to do the same on the Arctic or Antarctic circle is 11,000 miles. But looking at a real map, you can see those numbers don't add up. The maroon line represents the Arctic circle, the red line the equator, and the purple line the Antarctic circle. And so here is my plan. One I am sure the Flat Earth Society will raise the funds to do, because it instantly proves everything they're saying is correct. If we are on a globe, the Antarctic circle must be smaller lengthwise in distance going around a sphere than the equator. When you look at the map, you clearly see that every line of latitude, southward or on the true map outward, from the equator towards the Arctic circle, gains in length rather than diminishes, whereas on a spherical model, it diminishes. It's so simple, a child could do it. Simply pick a point on the northern coast of South America, follow that line of latitude all the way around, back again, and then compare measurements doing the same thing from a southern point on South America, going all the way around a line of latitude in the south, and compare the two numbers. Clearly, the number in the south will be much greater than the number in the north, because if we are on a flat Earth, a disk of indefinite proportions, every line of latitude outwards, every circle expanding outwards, will be bigger than the one which precedes it. Checkmate. Globonati.
Speak, why you? Who are you?
I am from the Keeper's Ocean.
Believe the picture and see the truth. 2 plus 4 equals 6.
We're breaking the conditioning!
Once more into the darkness, my friends, as we venture down a path of dark enlightenment, looking towards answers about demonic possession. For those well versed in the news, it should come as no shock that demonic possession is on the rise, exponentially. Article after article after article from accredited, reliable, and trustworthy newspapers, all talking about the same phenomena. Whether it's a man going on a rampage in a hospital, or an entire classroom taken against their will. It's clear that something dark and sinister is happening. When I first began my investigation into the occultic practice of demonic possession, I went out and purchased a Ouija board, one which I practiced with nightly for weeks on end. Sadly, the only result I got was a splinter, which hurt very, very much, as well as the ridicule of my family for sitting in a dark room for 10 hours at a time, trying to converse with the spirits of the dead. And so I sought out knowledge, forbidden fruit, from the internet, and the stories I found there horrified me beyond belief. One of my teachers used to work at a boarding school, and one night during a summer movie night, a student left to use the restroom, and after a bit of time had gone by, my teacher went to check on her to make sure she was okay. She wasn't. She was huddled in the corner of the shower, foaming at the mouth, with bloodshot eyes. My teacher freaked out and called a couple of others over, and the chick started spewing out random incoherent things in a really deep voice and stuff. Eventually, she snapped out of it and didn't remember a thing. They went to her dorm room after, and I guess she had things like I and alt semicolon 3 Satan written on her bunk bed and stuff. Pretty creepy. Further investigation of this user's story led me to the woman's social media accounts, and it's clear to see exactly where things went terribly, terribly wrong. But the story did raise in me a question. What does one do if they are possessed by the devil? Luckily, Balden Prama happened to write an extraordinary piece that walks you through, step by step, on how to deal with a demonic possession. Within it are many important pieces of occultic information, things that will save your life. If, like the girl in the story, you colon 3 with the devil. 1. Tell as many people that you know you are possessed as you can. That includes anyone you meet in your daily life. Walk up to them, even complete strangers, and make sure they know you are possessed by the devil. The more people that know it, the better. Step number 3. Be quiet, and see if the demons will leave you alone. Be as boring as you can possibly be. Sit in a room with nothing on, and watch paint dry. The forces of Satan are like preteen children, and easily bored when you ignore them after you've told everybody from step 1 that you are in fact possessed by the devil. Be as quiet as possible and never speak again, for you can never truly be sure that the demon has left. It is a life of solitude and silence for you from then on out. But perhaps, most importantly, step 13. Heaven recommended not using mental health medications. A direct order from God. Don't take your antipsychotics. It's what the demons want you to do. No matter what the doctor says, he is a servant of the Dark Lord, a follower of the Morning Star. However, on rare occasions, a misdiagnosis may occur. Sometimes, natural phenomena are misexplained as demonic possession.
What have you done to her family? What have you done to her home, her marriage?
We brought the spirit of madness. We want them to be mad.
Clearly, this woman is not possessed by a demon. One of the telltale signs is that she wants to ruin the lives of everyone around her and make her family miserable. That sounds like a cut and dry dictionary definition of PMS. After having read many Catholic websites and reading quite a bit of Reddit, I'd come across a treasure trove of data, all of which helped me to understand how one rids themselves of a demonic possession. The first and most important part is naming the demon which dwells within you. Now, if you're lucky, you can simply ask them.
What is your name? Beast. What? Beast. Beast. The Beast.
But demons are masters of trickery and lovers of dance. And so you can't always be sure that the answer you receive is the correct one. But if you are persistent enough, you can finally obtain the name and identity of the dark creature dwelling within your soul. Oh yes, true believers, this man is possessed by a class of demon known only in the ancient languages as a Wookiee. After having obtained the name of the creature which is inhabiting you, you can go about trying to expel it. Now you could use the guide provided earlier of the 13 steps on how to deal with demonic possession. But as the author himself said, do not trust me, for he himself has been possessed. And so you must seek out a holy man, a man who knows how to deal with demon.
I command fire from heaven. Fire in the name of Jesus Christ. Fire in the name of Jesus Christ. Holy Ghost, fire in the name of Jesus Christ.
After having won over your friendship with a live-action role-playing game of Dungeons and Dragons, lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt, you are ready to proceed. Now that you know their name, and you've struck up a friendship with a friendly game, there's only one step left. You must keep the demon out.
Here comes the sword.
There's a reason that Catholics keep their exorcism rituals hidden. The public just couldn't handle the truth. And I can't even show you the full extent of all the rituals, because it violates Google's terms of service. But you can imagine what was happening after she was on her knees. And this leads to the final question. The overarching mystery of demonic possession. What is the point? We've seen multiple examples in this video alone of people possessed by the devil, and yet they dress themselves. They shower and feed themselves. They even go to church. So what is the point in possessing people? I can think of only one conclusion. Demons are retarded. They've thought up step 1, but not step 2 or 3. Step 1, get a human being and possess them. Step 2 and 3 are apparently out of reach intellectually for demons. Now that they have their new human suit, they don't seem to do much with it. So I propose an experiment. The next time someone is demonically possessed, acknowledge that it's happening, and then do absolutely nothing. Just record them and put the footage on YouTube for us to laugh at. Because demons are f***ing idiots who don't have any goals or ambitions. Once they get here, they don't really do anything much at all. And it's hard to be scared of Satan when he pays income taxes and mows his lawn.
Believe the picture and see the truth. 2 plus 4 equals 6.
We're breaking the conditioning!
What compels a man to hate a monkey? To hold such disdain for nature's closest cousin? To look upon a picture such as this, and wonder aloud how it would feel to crack its skull open with a frying pan? Whose days are filled with thoughts of how much better Aladdin would have been if little Abu had been put in a burlap sack to be beaten against the wall? YouTube plays host to many varied and diverse communities. Groups of individuals that come together for a collective interest and create content which reflects that. Whether it's a furry in his diaper or a man living in a septic tank, there's always a video, always another user who has a similar interest to you. But out on the periphery, at the very edge of perception, there exist some groups which must remain hidden, who fear the daylight as a disinfectant towards their own interests, because deep down they know they are really up. And one such group would be the YouTube Monkey Torture Network. To understand its origins, I need to take you on a journey of truth. And there's no better place to begin our first steps along this long and narrow path than on the X board on 4chan. X standing for exceptional detective work, 100% true verifiable facts. We are admissible in court. That is how accurate our information is. Amidst the daily threads of horny, lonely men trying to summon sex demons, tarot card readers looking to give you your fortune, or even puppet, a mysterious subject matter was brought up. Within the initial threads, interest was piqued. How was it possible that a monkey torture network could exist on a platform owned by Google, a company which was known for sanitizing anything that was very anti-PC or anti-family friendly? It just seemed to fly in the face of common reasoning. Surely there had to be some mysterious backstory. And upon further digging, it became apparent that this wasn't a recent phenomena. It wasn't a flash in the pan or a fad, but something that had existed on the platform for multiple years, in varied incarnations, and comprised of thousands upon thousands of users. In those initial threads, as the investigation began to bear fruit, certain key points rose to the top. Namely, that they were seemingly dealing with a sophisticated network of users who had a joy and a common interest in sharing videos which dealt with the abuse of what they referred to derisively as tree rats. This only helped to fuel even more questions and interest in the subject. Who exactly were these users? How long had they been engaged in this activity? Why did they hate monkeys so much? What motivated them? Where did they find this information? And was there a deeper meaning behind it? One fact that reared its head as they began to dive deeper into the subject matter was that the users involved in this were using playlists on YouTube to help share the videos they had found. Playlists with very mundane normal names that would keep the heat and eyes off of them, like Baby Monkey Suffering, Wounded Monkeys, Rotten Little Vermin Makes You Puke, Dead Monkeys, Monkey Abuse, Monkeys You Love to Hate, Baby Monkeys Make Me Sick, Twin Blind Dead Monkeys, Vintage Tree Rats. And of course, monkeys are stupid. It also became very evident that these were playlists which were extraordinarily popular, such as Kill Baby Monkeys, netting 1.3 million views, or even Baby Monkey Suffering, with a whopping 2.1 million views. Stranger still, as time went on, it was soon discovered that this wasn't the first time this subject had been brought up. The X-Board hadn't stumbled into something that was unknown up until this point. In fact, it had been discussed at length on multiple websites for a span of nearly 5 years. Sites such as Reddit, Facepunch, bodybuilding forums, and multiple YouTube videos had all touched upon the subject. A user would stumble upon one of these playlists or read the comments underneath the videos, become curious, and do a little digging. After looking into it a bit, they'd share it with their community, and then after a few weeks of initial interest, the subject would quickly die out. And while it's unknown exactly why there was such a sudden drop-off in interest after the initial exposure to this subject material, what is known, what is absolutely certifiable, is the pure vitriol, the unbridled hatred that these particular users have for innocent little monkeys. A quick glance at any of the comment sections of the related videos linked to in the playlist quickly shows just how deep the hatred runs. Break both its legs, but only one of its arms, so it flops around aimlessly. Next step is putting its head in a vise, getting a pair of pliers and pulling its tongue out. Release it from the vise and watch it screaming and gurgling in agony as it rolls around, trying to find its tongue and put it back in. Once you get bored of it, crush its skull with a pipe wrench. That's how it should be done. Look at the useless gnat. Should have held a camera with one hand and stapled his nutsack to his forehead with the other hand, and watch it die. Take the little to the top of the highest tree and swing him by his tail, and throw him into the air as high as possible, and listen to the thud sound when he hits the ground. Or take him to the top of a tree, find a short, thick branch to stick in his ass, so he is stuck up there and can't climb down. It needs its arms and legs tied together, and put into a nice ice cube filled tub and cooled off a little. After that, tie the little motherfucker upside down and blow dry it on the hottest setting. Then tie it down, and when it makes those annoying monkey sounds, squirt some habanero sauce into its throat and eyes. That, my monkey-loving friends, should calm the little bastard down. Pouring 100% pure vodka down its throat is also recommended. Of course, this isn't too surprising when you look at a vast majority of these accounts, with names like Kill Baby Monkeys and Monkey Hater, or when you look at the content they themselves upload on their own accounts. Baby Monkey, I want to put you in a microwave oven. Baby Monkey, the disgust doubles. Baby Monkey knows he is useless. Useless baby monkey that watches fish. Can I drown him? Why the human in this video didn't kill the useless baby? Two useless baby monkeys. Stupid baby velvet playing. Another useless baby monkey. When it comes to accounts like this, scattered throughout their various uploads were comments such as this. That's it. I don't know why your channel is called Monkey Hater, and that's why I'm unsubscribing to you. Bye-bye. People were perplexed. Some very confused as to why a channel they had been following suddenly did a 180 and started uploading content and making comments that seemed out of character for who they were, potentially hinting at the fact that maybe some of these accounts were hacked into. As if the YouTube Monkey Torture Network didn't have enough organic users, they needed to go out and harvest new YouTube accounts, new channels. But amongst all of these various accounts, one particular one caught the attention of those on the export. Now, if this username and image seem vaguely familiar to you, one quick look at TinEye with a reverse image search will yield a few news articles that help to clear up why that might be. The face of pure evil. Australia's worst grins as he's led from court after being found guilty of raping a 1-year-old girl, torturing toddlers, and masterminding a sick global porn network. This user, who repeatedly came up, turned out to be an individual who was LARPing as a prolific child predator, one of Australia's worst, who targeted not just little children, but babies themselves. Now, one might ask themselves, as the users on X did, why would somebody involved in a YouTube Monkey Torture Network decide to LARP as a child pornographer? Well, it turns out a few people did more than just simply question why they would do that. They went to talk to the individual themselves within Discord. Sadly, the conversation didn't yield much, but a few pieces of information. The user was definitely genuine in his hatred of monkeys. He was fairly new to the community, and he had interacted with people who had been a part of it for much longer than he had. And when it comes to that community, Peter wasn't alone in his choice of edgier usernames, as multiple other people chose colorful monikers by which to identify themselves, perhaps hinting at a secondary underlying interest aside from simple animal abuse. How exactly child predation and monkey torture intersect is a question better left to experts, as I can't quite come up with a reasonable explanation. Nonetheless, there does seem to be a very bizarre overlap. Whether that overlap is 7 layers of irony deep, I leave up to you. The videos themselves run the gambit from re-uploaded nature documentary footage that's been given a misleading title so as to trick you into believing it was going to be about abuse when none was present, to military units using lab animals to test out chemical warfare treatment procedures. Some of the videos were in Chinese, while others were in English. Some were completely innocuous, just people with their pet animals, while others featured animals that had been hit by traffic, or beaten or killed by another animal. And the only common thread amongst all of them was that they were put into playlists by this particular community so they could be commented on and used as a vessel to express their hatred of little innocent monkeys. The speculation surrounding these videos in this community consists of multiple different theories. Some people believe that the users are engaged in illicit, illegal activities and are merely using this as a smokescreen to hide a real message to point people towards illegal content and avoid law enforcement detection. Others believe that potentially this is similar to the Elsa and Spider-Man videos of a few years ago. Some believe it's a geographical cultural phenomena, and that the majority of users, even though they speak in English and use Americanized names, are really from Asia and have a deep, unbridled hatred for all things monkey-related. But the theory I find most interesting is the direct and simplest. It's just a prank, bro. A 5-year-long trolling op by a group of people that have blown up this idea into something much larger than they probably anticipated. And I think that becomes slightly more obvious when you look at some of the accounts surrounding all of this, such as Piss Forest, a YouTube user that follows the Peter account and has commented on the videos and other monkey-related torture videos, describes themselves as a politically correct trans LGBTQMN pink metal band who are against black metal and are social genocide warriors. One look at the content itself and you can definitely tell it's run by edgelords. But how does that relate to our specific monkey torture videos? Well, it was something they said in one of their videos.
We support extreme political correctness, which means we also support underrepresented minorities of Nazis, fundamentalist Islamists, and child molesters. Hence, LGBTQMN. We are also the proprietor of edgetivism.
But what exactly is edgetivism? Well, it's the practice of stamping your art with the most reprehensible themes of your time to defend the idea that art is limitless. And when looking at the creation dates for the Facebook and Instagrams all related to this particular group, you'll find that they all originate around 2013, which coincides roughly with the startup of this phenomena on YouTube. And digging a bit deeper, you quickly find out that Piss Forest has their own website in which they promote the release of their new album, full to the brim of songs that both parents and your younger siblings will love alike, such as Britney Therapy. When I was a little girl, I always dreamt about my father's cock. It was so big and fluffy, but when I found out that my dad is gay and f***ed his personal trainer, I was like, what the f***, Dad? F*** my pussy, Daddy. Tie me up and lash me like Islamic torturers. Make me moan like a pig being slaughtered. Or their other classic hit, and kill animals, attack women. There's a beauty in torturing cats as their guts sprout over the floor. I can't help but in their ass. And that's just a sampling of the songs they've assembled together for this album, which is available on their Bandcamp account. So is it possible that just like Piss Forest, a collective of trans edgetivists gathered together on YouTube decided to LARP as child sexual predators to create a YouTube monkey torture network, all in an effort to show the world that their avant-garde finger painting is pretty badass? Currently, it's as good a theory as any. We may never find out the truth behind what this community is all about, why they do what they do, why they're so enthused about the torture of animals, whether it's a massive trolling operation that's lasted for nearly half a decade, or a group of child predators, all secretly pointing one another with coded phrases and video links towards illicit or illegal material. Perhaps the only consistency to be found here is what was touched upon earlier, because much like those communities, Facepunch and Something Awful, the bodybuilding forums, and Reddit, X itself has seemingly lost interest after merely a week and a half to 2 weeks of investigating. Perhaps this is some kind of monkey god curse, where your attention span is diverted away from the deepest, truest reasonings behind why this is happening. Maybe it's a glitch in the Matrix. All I know for sure is there are quite a few people on YouTube who really fucking hate